Pretty okay weather today. I'm just trying to think where I can fly on my way to going to various places. I will improvise. That must be a bummer, just getting your car towed and you're right there to watch it. You can't stop it. I was reading an update about that Starbucks story the other day. The one about those two people that were arrested, the black men. So people were calling it a racial issue because I was still kind of curious whether or not they kind of provoked it or not, or if it simply was just racial profiling, like a prejudice. It's this one here. It says Starbucks to close 8,000 US stores on May 29th for racial tolerance training. It says on that day, 175,000 employees can undergo racial tolerance training in response to protests and calls for boycotts after the arrest of two black men waiting in the Philadelphia store. I don't think I've actually ever seen anything like this before. And it says the announcement from the world's biggest coffee company comes as it tries to cool tensions after the Philadelphia incident last week sparked accusations of racial profiling from the chain, at which the subject of a boycott campaign on social media. I would imagine with this PR disaster, they probably fired the person who actually did that, the manager. And sure enough, it says the manager, whose call to a Philadelphia police led to the men's arrest, is no longer working for Starbucks. I was even watching some of the interviews by the CEO, I believe, and they were trying to ask him, okay, so why did the employees call the police on this? Is there like a certain procedure or a reason? And then apparently he's saying there's certain protocols. If you see certain actions, then you should kind of call the police. So that I'm not really clear about exactly what they did, aside from, to my understanding, they were asked to leave, which they didn't. And this police note relates to a lot of what you guys were saying too, in terms of trying to understand the whole story, like why did the police arrest them? It says here, Philadelphia's police commissioner defended the arrest, saying his officers had to act after Starbucks employees told them the pair were trespassing. It's good that Starbucks is giving all staff race training on May 29th, but let's not lose sight of the real problem, which is police accountability. Tiffany Dena Lofton, director of the Youth and College Division at NACP, told Reuters. I'm not a police officer, of course, but I guess I can envision the situation was the managers called them. Basically, there was actually an audio of it, and they were basically saying something along the lines of these people won't leave. And I guess the police are just doing their job. So I guess that's kind of the perspective there. It makes me wonder, in that case, how much aggravation, if that's what you want to call it, did they have to do for them to arrest them? Like, did they ask them to leave? And then those people sitting there like, no, why? Like, we're not doing anything wrong. And then they insist, like, say, no, we had to ask you to leave because they said so. And they still didn't do it. Is that basically all there was? Or did they do something like when the cops told them to, like, they had to leave, did they flip them or something? It didn't seem like it anyways, although it doesn't show everything from the absolute beginning. Such a divided topic. Although it makes me wonder, how do you teach people not to, quote, racial profile? Because a lot of that is due just to things like culture, right? Like for myself, I'm racial profiled all the time. Like you can imagine almost every single stereotype you can think of. Holy cow, trying an ND32 and it's still +7 and +1 now in the brightness. You can see all this weird smoke in the background too in the far distance. And the other thing I read was kind of a semi-follow-up news again. It was about that drone college again, if you guys remember. The one where they were giving all this inaccurate information in that news report. This one here says, Calgary College offers drone pilot certification course in light of a new federal aerospace regulation. I was actually really curious to see how accurate this article would be, just to see again whether or not people are going to be receiving wrong information to make them say like, oh no, now I need to pay this and this, when really they don't as of yet anyways. It says, starting next month, Bow Valley College will offer small, complex UAV pilot instruction courses for enthusiasts and professionals who want to fly unmanned aerial vehicles in urban areas. And it says this is essentially a 3-day course that will give students the skills they need to fly complex urban UAVs, which are defined as drones weighing more than 1 kilogram and up to 25 kilogram. This is kind of an interesting statement. It says the proposed rules will make it difficult for rogue pilots to fly under the radar, according to Chris Healy, one of the course's instructors. Just like buying a new vehicle, users will require insurance, certification, and licensing before purchasing a UAV, Healy said. To my knowledge, you don't have to register it before you buy it. You're going to have to buy it first and then do all the registrations. That's to my understanding anyways, unless they change it or they know something that I don't. But it's kind of interesting even with the things like saying it's going to make it harder for rogue pilots, you need the insurance. Funny enough, some people even brought the point, even Transport Canada said in the meeting, they don't even really have a plan for the insurance because not everyone even offers it for a recreational flyer. So that's going to see, interesting anyways, to see what kind of mess it's going to create. I don't remember the exact quotes, but the guy essentially says something along the lines of they know there's nothing really available now in terms of things like affordability and all that, but they just hope the market will change when the rules come up. Like, shouldn't you have this all prepared before you introduce stuff like this? I couldn't help but to be a little bit cynical when I read this. It says, Healy said with drones becoming more and more popular, the college wanted to help people enjoy them safely. The risks of flying UAVs are obvious and potentially expensive, he said, adding UAVs are considered aerospace users in the same way as aircraft, helicopters, and hot air balloons. Drones can easily fly out of sight of an operator, stay aloft longer, or reach heights that can interfere with low-flying manned aircraft. They also run out of power and crash. Jeez. I was just thinking of that in terms of like wanting to teach people, I guess, how to fly them safely and legally. Based on other interview, I don't need you to teach people how to fly within a controlled studio. There's this little odd detail here. It says, in Canada, UAVs are prohibited from flying within 12.95 kilometers from any airport called control zones. The YYC International Airport and Springbank Airport are no exceptions. I think they just mean in their specific area, because to my understanding, it's 5.5 kilometers from the airports. But again, when people read stuff like this as the authoritative sources and all that, they'll probably be confused. Interesting quote too here. It says, I think Transport Canada is attempting to utilize a more hands-off approach that will allow more drone flights while increasing safety. I know a lot of people would disagree, but it's a perspective. I'm just worried it's all more for commercial reasons, honestly, as opposed to safety. I guess for me, for the airspace, it's sort of thought, when does it become it works both ways? Like the drone should avoid things like that, and when should those things avoid drones as well? Funny thing about culture and stuff, since I passed by that Starbucks and that other article, the last time I was in the US, I was like the only Asian guy there. I was like such an anomaly. Even when you go in the Asian supermarkets, there wasn't any Asian employees, so people thought I actually worked there. Again, like when it comes to stuff like that, I think it's more about the culture. I don't see how you can actually teach that if the environment doesn't kind of reflect it. The heck is that? Alright, see you guys later.